Hey, what happened? Jesus.
Ah, no. Hey, the devil is a liar, my friend.
We under spiritual attack.
We are under spiritual attack indeed.
Yeah, man.
We are under spiritual attack.
Spiritual attack, bruh. Full on 20 minutes. We've been under attack.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Obviously, they don't want us to get what we need to get out there.
The devil,
They're trying to block it.
the devil is a liar.
Ah, he's a liar. He's a liar. He won't win.
I will never win. We'll never win. I don't know what
Never
happened.
win.
The sound just came.
Yeah, no. I don't know. Maybe God just came into the room.
Maybe God just went out and there. Those are my two
Yeah.
sons that
Yeah.
I'm maybe God just came in and said, those are my two sons that I'm willing to protect by all means. You understand?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For
Otherwise,
sure. For sure.
otherwise,
Anna, I'm good. And you?
nah, man, good to see you. Good to see you. How's the little one doing?
Ah, good to see you, my brother. Good to see you.
Mm.
Ah, yeah, no. I think at that point where I'm ready to dream,
Yeah.
you know,
Hey, 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 hey.
yeah, no.
I lost you here.
Yeah.
You at the point where you're ready to dream.
Yeah, matter of point. So I think maybe the title of this conversation should be Education as I Dream It from My Ancestors.
We have it. Education, say it again.
Yeah.
Education as I dream it from my ancestors.
Yeah, education as I'm dreaming from my ancestors.
That's power right there. That's power right there.
Ye-
We're going back
Yeah, yeah,
to natural organic education, not what we see, not what they sell it to
indeed,
us.
indeed. Not the surrounding. I know.
Not
We're
not
not buying it anymore.
not what was invented to maintain all the illness in the society. Not that.
Yeah. No, 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 no. We
Yeah.
need proper education now. We
Yeah.
need proper education now. People need to be educated, not this rubbish that we call education.
That we all obsessed about, and we even taking our last cents to say, you know what, I'm going to send my children to this school so they can be educated, so they can
Yeah.
have a better life. What is that?
And, and they're not getting educated. They're getting dumbed down.
They're getting bloody schooled, like this is the problem. I had a conversation with my son today. This conversation
Yeah.
reminds me of what we said in the morning. So he was saying to me, he doesn't want to go to school at 8. Instead, he wants to go to school at half past
Mm,
10. I'm like, hey,
mm,
Dad, I understand. I fully understand, and I wish I could do the same. And I could allow you to do that. But with the system that you are in, doesn't allow you to do whatever you want whenever you want. The system says to you, my son, at
mm,
8 you should be at school. 9 you should eat your breakfast. 10 go back. 11
mm,
o'clock lunch.
mm,
1 o'clock it's school out.
mm,
So you're not in control.
mm.
Then he said he wants to
So is
change.
that education then? Because
Ah,
don't we learn when we're ready to learn? Because like it doesn't help to have kids in your class at 8 a.m. and their brains are just dead.
they're still sleeping.
Then what's the point? They're
Yeah.
still sleeping. They're not ready to learn. So like, what are you doing?
I'm running a routine. Running a
That's what you're
routine.
doing.
Yeah. Then
That's
he
what
asked
you're
me,
doing.
then if I want to change this system, what should we do? Then I told him the only best way to do it is when we homeschool you, when I homeschool you. At the
Mm,
moment, I
mm,
have an idea how to homeschool you and I want to and I'm desperate. But if I do that, then means Nalwe, Nale Mama, and everybody, you have to eat a little bit of shit. In fact, not little bit of
mm,
shit. We have to eat a lot of shit because you're gonna suffer.
mm, 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 mm.
Like no, you
It
gotta
goes
do
back
it.
to our last conversation.
Yeah,
It goes back to our last conversation, politics of the stomach,
yeah. It goes
Yeah,
back.
we've got bills to pay, we've got, kids also become another bill to pay. So
Mm,
they keep us busy with the things that are not important, so we don't focus on
yeah.
the things that are really, really important.
Yeah. But reflecting on that and what you're saying now, I look back, like linking back, our conversation will always link, Sanet. Will
Mm,
always be
mm,
one long conversation.
yeah.
Looking back to freedom fighters, the people who died for
Mm,
freedom, people who died for in 1976. Those guys had commitments, had children,
mm,
and they
mm,
knew what they were standing for. They
mm,
knew that
mm,
if I move left, I'm gonna be safe. But
mm,
if I move right, I might not be
mm,
safe. I might not be alive. My children
mm,
will have no father. But because
mm,
this is the right thing to do, then I will do it,
mm,
no matter
mm,
the cost.
mm. I think I think we as Black people have forgotten the
Yeah,
right thing to do.
yeah.
You know what I mean? We have forgotten the right thing to do. It's interesting because, like, I've been having a conversation with a very dear friend of mine,
Yeah,
around schooling and around spirituality.
sure.
And when you think about it, like, these schools, they are Christian schools. You know what I mean?
Ah,
We take our children to Christian schools. They get indoctrinated with this idea that, there is, so you come in, and let's say, the England Academy.
yeah.
Let's just call it that because we don't want to get stuck with the
Into
legalities. So the England Academy tells me that, okay, so there's this Jesus Christ who died, and anyone who practices anything outside of that is a pagan. So when you come in, Mangiphume ekhaya, for example, when I leave home, they burn incense for me and they say, ancestors, protect our child. I come into this institution. This
sure,
institution says, no, you can't burn your incense here because we are a Christian school. We are the England Academy. So you must go
man.
to chapel.
Yeah,
you
let's go
know,
to chapel
that's
and
how they make us forget who we are.
yeah,
So we have forgotten who we are, and we constantly take our children to institutions that constantly tell them that who you are is the devil. So we come here and we make you clean. We come here
yeah,
to liberate you. But
yeah,
you are oppressing me. How can you liberate me when you're oppressing me? And I think
yeah,
we've almost been dumbed down. Like I said, the education
yeah.
system dumbs us down because if you think about it, it's like, how can my oppressor also offer me my liberation?
How possible is that? How possible is that? When you talk about that, you remind me of the recent events that have been happening now in Ghana, where
Mm,
the Rastafarian children were not accepted in the school, and we talk in public school, and they were given
mm,
an ultimatum to say, my friend, if you want to come to this institution, you have to chop your hair off. Otherwise, you cannot come here with
mm,
long hair. You have to look
mm,
like children. So, in
mm,
essence, what this England school are saying to us, they're actually saying,
mm,
for you to be successful, to be a human being, and not to be devil, you have to conform.
mm,
Come to our side,
mm,
because your side is evil.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah, so they say, no, your ancestors are evil. But you're like, no, that was my
Also,
mother. Like, she passed away. And so why can't I call upon my mother to say my mother as my guardian angel? go with me where I go. And they say, no, 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 no,
Can't do
no, no.
that.
You can't do that. That's paganistic. You're worshiping the devil. But like,
But the question is, Sanele, your mom died. She loved you
mm,
so much. She wanted the
mm,
best for you. She did everything possible
mm,
that you
mm,
become a better Sanele. You become an
mm,
aware Sanele. Then she
mm,
passes away. Then immediately
mm,
after she died, then we say she's evil. She's devil.
mm,
Same thing that
mm,
goes to
mm,
Christianity as well. Like these things are just interlinked. Go to Christianity. They say your ancestors are evil people. Evil people? How
mm,
so? And it
mm.
links again to
They are demons.
Woma Sangoma to say, you know what, your mom or late. She just turned her back on you. Man, I lived with
Mm,
that person for
mm,
30 years, for 40 years.
mm,
She never
mm,
turned her back on me.
mm,
How possible is
mm.
that she's now
Even
turning her
when I
back
was
on
naughty.
me when she's just not here? Because I'm expecting her now to
Mm,
be right here, a guardian angel, to guide the way.
mm,
Because she was
mm,
best thing
mm,
ever to me.
mm. I think the thing is that like they haven't turned their backs against us, but we have.
We have.
Because yeah, the system teaches us that like you need to, you know what I mean, because it's like, okay, sharp. And also again, with this angoma, they tell you that no, now, because also the system has introduced money. So Isangoma will not tell you that, no, look, just speak to your mom, invite her back into your life again, go to her grave, clean her grave, talk to your mother, and they'll say, no, you need to now buy a cow, you need to now, and you do all of those things, and still nothing works. You know what I mean? Like, but
You know what
you spend
irritates?
so
You know
much
what
money
irritates
on
about that,
Isangoma.
Sanel? When they
Yeah.
say buy a cow, buy whatever, then they're gonna kill it. And what
Mm,
irritates me is they will say to you, Sanel, you can't eat that cow. I'm like, my
mm.
my big cow like that.
And then still things don't work out the way. So you spend so much money on buying this cow, and then nothing works. You're like, but
You're depressed
and then
afterwards and you're still hungry.
yeah. And then you go to another sangoma, and then they say, no, that ceremony didn't work. Now you need to make another one. But you're like, guys, I'm broke. Now I was trying to at least get some wealth. But now you want me to slaughter another cow.
Brother,
uh,
come on, Dad.
no, it's and and the thing is that like we literally walk with our ancestors all the time. They're constantly our guardian angels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't need to slaughter. We don't need to do all of those things. We just need to say, as in man, I'm going into battle. My ancestors, my guardian angels, come with me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Protect me, and they will give you that kind of protection. But like these institutions, when I said we need to dream about the kind of institutions that we need to build, they are the kind of institutions where we say, yeah, it's African time. Because when you think about it, also this concept of time and being late, are you really late, or are you, because we as Africans, we are kings. And is a king ever late? Because a king is never late. When a king walks in, that's when a meeting starts, because a king needs to go and talk to people. So
Yeah.
if I'm walking on the road and I meet Khomut who wants to engage me,
Sure.
now I say, no, I'm late for a meeting, and you need to talk to me. Maybe that's the last conversation I'll ever have
Yeah.
with you. But I'm like, no, I'm rushing off to a meeting, so you now need to. And then I go to that meeting, which could have been an email, by the way. um, And then and then Ngizobatu Khumutu has passed on. And I'm like, I wish I could have stood just for that minute and spoken to him and heard what he really wanted to say.
Mm.
So I love how we started the conversation with your son, because your son is questioning this thing of,
Yeah.
why do I need to be at school at 8? Why can't I rest? And when my brain is ready, I
At,
go to school.
at 10.
Because then my brain is ready to learn. But now, because I'm up at 8, my brain is not ready to learn. I'm just in your class and I'm a zombie. Literally, have you ever like taught a group of zombies? Like the kids are sitting there, they're like, they are tired. You can clearly see there's no learning happening here. But because they have to be there, they're there. And also because you have to be there, you are also there. But also, if you are honest with yourself, you don't want to be there. You're just there because you need to feed your family.
And you have to do and say something because you have to. It's a must.
Mm,
It's on paper.
mm.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, it's a curriculum. It's a curriculum and you have to finish it. But whose curriculum is it? Who drew it up? And
huh.
why are we following?
Hmm.
Why are we I mean, like if you think
Hmm.
about it, Khumuzo,
Hmm.
history, like my subject, history is wide.
Hmm.
Why do I need to teach certain things? Why is it prescribed? Why can't we look at history in its totality? The history of man. Let's look at the Rastafarians, for example. Why aren't
Yeah.
they in the curriculum?
Why?
Because they play a big part in our history. So who gets to choose what we teach, and why do they get to choose what we teach? What makes them special to tell us?
Yeah. Hey. I hear you, Sanele. Since we've touched on a whole lot of things that are happening with the system that we are in, and 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 definitely we're not happy. So coming here and sit and complain, it's not going to help us. But then we've got brains, we've got brains that are working, constantly working. Then we should be thinking, or as you've said it. I think I'm mixed up the word. Um, education. Say it again. Say it again. Education. Looking at education from my ancestors' view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I think we.
So a school. So my ancestors dream of a school.
Yeah. My ancestors'
Yeah.
dream of a school.
Yeah.
What kind of school are we looking at here, Sana? So we
I think if we
young we
go back
young we
to
young
history.
little young guys, ambitious,
Yeah.
dreaming,
Mm,
and we want to go
mm,
back and
mm,
unpack
mm.
things so we can be able to go
I think
forward.
I think if we look at the first school in the world, it was in Africa. You
Yeah,
can do your research. It was in Timbuktu.
yeah,
Um, when you look at the curriculum in Timbuktu,
mm,
you studied medicine,
yeah,
you studied law, you studied physics, you studied. People were not graded. You
yeah.
learned what your spirit needed to learn.
Sure.
So, if my ancestors want me to learn about medicine, I learn
Mm,
about medicine, and when I'm done, I haven't dropped out. I've
yeah,
learned what I've needed to learn. And then they say, now do physics. And I
mm,
go and I learn about physics. And when I'm done, I haven't dropped out. I'm done. My spirit is done with that learning journey. Now I need to learn law.
mm,
Today I had a very interesting conversation with one of my pupils who said, sir, over the holidays, I finished the quote, Jack of all trades, master of none. And I said, okay, what does the quote say? And he said, but a jack of all trades is better than a master of one.
yeah. That's powerful. That's power right there.
Think about it.
That's power right
We've
there.
always jack of all trades, but a jack of all trades is better than a master of one.
Yeah,
Because education teaches us we need to be a master of one.
yeah.
Why
Thank you.
can't why I feel like right now I'm a historian, but history is taking me to medicine. Why can't I just go and study medicine? Because medicine is literally trees and water, and that is
Nature,
medicine. Like now they tell you
nature.
you need to study a tablet. It needs to be this certain amount of volumes, but Africans have been able to take trees
Yeah,
and water and sand and heal people.
yeah.
That is medicine. Now they take it and they say, okay, let's put it into a tablet. Like, I mean, Africans have been saying, we have a cure for COVID.
Mm.
Mhlonyan, you know what I mean?
Sure, sure.
But the West has said, no, 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 we need Pfizer to develop what's this rubbish, a vaccine. But African people are like, I drank Mhlonyan and I'm fine.
And I tested positive and I recovered, and I'm here. But,
Yeah.
but what
Mm,
you touching on, brother, what you touching on is very important thing, and it doesn't only end up. We don't only say it when it gets to university level, where we say in is Sanele now he's studying history to become a historian,
mm, mm,
but it goes down back to the bottom in schools
mm,
where I've been wondering why are we teaching the subjects separately, independently?
mm,
If you look
mm,
at school
mm,
subject, if you look at schools, they all they're same and they
mm,
all link.
mm,
For instance, if you look at
mm,
history, there's no way you can teach history without teaching medicine. There's no way you
mm.
cannot teach history without teaching geography.
History without economics.
There's no way you can teach
Economics.
history without economy. There's no way you can teach history
Mm,
without
mm,
language. All this is
mm,
one
mm,
big thing that we need to teach as a whole.
mm,
As you've mentioned that in Timbuktu,
mm,
they said you wanted to do that, and do that, and do that. Then you come and you are so much
mm,
aware, and you become a jack of all trades because you've been exposed that much.
mm, mm,
It's not only
mm,
now switch off your
mm,
mind, let's go do science. Okay,
mm,
now it's science, science is
mm,
over. Switch off your minds again and let's do math.
mm, 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 mm.
One talk.
But they're
So
all interlinked. And you're right, they're all interlinked.
they
So
are.
why do we teach them isolation? Why do we say, you're right, it's like education right now is switch off your brain, switch it on here.
Hmm.
So that's what we do as humanity.
Yeah.
We are constantly switching on our brains and switching it off, switching it on, switching it off, switching it on, switching it off. So when they don't want us to think deeper, they say, okay, now switch it off. That's why when we get home, typically in Black communities, we don't talk.
Yeah.
You get home, what do? We watch Generations. We eat in front of the TV. Everyone goes to bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No one talks. How was your day? Oh, now I can learn more about you as I'm talking to you,
Hmm.
right? But it's like, let's not talk because you are not important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's not engage
Hmm.
Africans because they are not important. We need to tell them that Christianity is the way.
Yeah.
We need to tell them that subjects are the way. We need to
Hmm.
tell them how to dress. We need to tell them how they need to look at work. We need to
Hmm.
tell them how they should
Hmm.
show up for work. We need to
Hmm.
tell them how their children epitomize success. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because if you have a child who is a doctor and a child who's a sangoma, who do you
Hmm.
love more?
The doctor. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So who's determining all of that? Who's
Hmm.
determining all of that? So we need to understand even how we encourage our children that you can't, you like, this system is created to oppress you.
Yeah.
So how do you ever think that it just goes against everything that keeps privilege of England Academy? Because the England Academy cannot thrive if you have the Libakeng Academy, which teaches children, really teaches children. They
Yeah.
won't thrive
Yeah.
because why will I pay 500,000 at England Academy, whereas I could pay, say, 10,000 at Libakeng Academy, and my child gets real education? But there, what am I paying for really? Am I paying for status or am I paying for education?
Hmm. That's a heavy question. That's a heavy question. We
And and if you ask England Academy what is education, a director of academics, they call them that, director of academics.
Yeah.
If you go to England Academy and you ask them what is education, they can't answer you.
Yeah.
They can't. They'll tell you about the curriculum, they'll tell you about everything, but what is to educate? What is to teach? No, you must follow the CAPS curriculum and then the IUP standards, whatnot. Okay, I hear all of that.
But what
That
is
is assessment.
education?
It's different. You're talking assessment now. But what is education? What does it mean to educate?
Educate. When you asking that question, brother, I went to the Rastafarian salon. I always go to Rastafarian salon to do my hair. Then I think last time during the week, and it says education is simply the realization of yourself. I'm like, I thought about it like for a long time. Education is the realization. Like when you realize yourself, who you are, then you're educated. When you're aware of who you are, then that's education. Yeah. But going a step back, sorry, Timbuktu, you mentioned that there was no kind of assessments and and they were not important. Once you're done learning, let's go and implement. You've done medicine, go implement, go work, go get
Go
helps,
help people.
go help people, help your people. But on the other side of of, of the world, you cannot do that. Does it go back to status? Does it go back to control? Does it go back to being in that box of colonization? That's why you have
Yeah.
to follow certain curriculum.
Yeah. And that's why people study further. They don't study further because they want to know more. They study further because they want promotions. They want promotions. They want to get promoted at work. That's why I remember Ekasi. We used to have the saying, cram, pass, and forget. That's what school is.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that say, especially on grade 11, grade 12,
Yeah.
cram, pass, and forget.
You know,
I did
yeah,
exactly the
cram,
same
pass, and
thing.
forget.
You get to university, you do the same thing, cram, pass, and forget. If you ask me what I did on my
Yeah.
first year, I can't tell you, brother. I cannot do that.
Now, did you learn anything?
I'm just cramming, passing, and forget.
But there are certain conversations that we had when I was in Ghana that I'll never ever forget because I truly learned a lot.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
you know what I mean? It's like, what is education? I think if people who are in charge of education, if they were to be able, and I think you said it beautifully, And I think Professor Cornell West says it perfectly. He says, education is learning to become human.
Yeah.
In the African concept, we call it Ubuntu.
Sure. Yeah.
Ubuntu.
Yeah.
What's the point of having doctors who create vaccines to kill people?
Where's Ubuntu there?
Hmm?
Where's Ubuntu
Why do
right
we have
there?
engineers? When we have engineers who, during World War II, who created chambers to burn people, are those people
Yeah.
educated? Are they really educated? When we have teachers who teach children things that they don't even understand, but they do it because it's their job. So now I'm going to go and prep.
Yeah.
That's why we have prep. The last time we spoke about prep, I'm going to go prep because I don't even understand what I'm teaching the children. But I'm told what I need to teach the children, and I'm told I'm a teacher. So I need to go to a textbook and teach them what I'm being told to teach them.
Yeah.
So are you a teacher then? Can you really call yourself a teacher, or are you just a conformist? So
Yeah.
that's why we need lesson plans, because we have teachers who are teaching, but they don't know what they're doing. They don't even understand what education is, but they've got masters in education and PhDs in education, but they don't even understand what education is.
Yeah. I think touching back on going back to university and study, it actually does what you said, limits you. You continue to just close in and close in and close in until you see with the tiny angle, and that's what you see.
Mm.
And then, like, I don't know, man,
Yeah.
it's academics. I had a conversation with a brother of mine. I'm gonna connect you to him. Amazing guy, amazing guy. His grandfather was
Mm.
part of apartheid, fighting for liberation in the country. He got hanged, and his father was involved in the 1976, and he's suffering now like big injuries, and he was or is still part of Fees Must Fall. So you look at that lineage,
Mm.
it's a heavy one. And he was sharing with me that when he was still in university, he started questioning the theorists, your Jean Piaget, and all these people that are worshipped as
Mm.
psychologists and massive scholars. Then when he was questioning, they came to me and say, "Man, you can't question. You can't ask those people questions." Then he asked why, and he was told, "Because you nobody. You have no
Mm.
degree for that matter. You
Mm.
undergrad. You're still running after your tiny degree."
Mm.
And people that are shutting him down, those are people that call themselves educated with PhDs.
Mm.
But then
They are idiots.
definitely, but they shutting
My
him
brother,
down.
if you think about it now, Socrates, the guy who invented Western education,
Yeah.
said an unexamined life is not a life worth living.
What
So,
rubbish
how
is
do you
that?
shut down someone who questions? If Western education was formed by someone who said you
Question.
need to question,
Yeah.
but a good school is determined by a good teacher.
Wow. Yeah, that's it. That's a school. It should be determined by a good teacher. They talk in school. They're
Yeah,
100% correct.
yeah.
They should stick to that lane. That's where they should be.
Mm,
If
mm.
they
And I
if
said,
they
okay, I understand.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, it
But
was just the
just
weirdest comment I've ever heard in school.
imagine, like imagine a good school is determined by a good teacher. Imagine.
Mm.
And then further
What
down
is
the
a good
line, what did
teacher?
they say? What did what
No,
how did it go?
a good teacher prepares well.
Okay.
No, this is the criteria of a good teacher.
Mm.
A good teacher prepares well.
Mm-hmm.
They don't allow too many questions in their class
Hey,
because the children might just smart, so you might not be able to answer their questions. So limit the questions.
wow.
Don't engage the questions. Um, have a PowerPoint presentation right on the board. Have notes, prepare good notes, and then make sure that the children get 90% at the end of the year.
Oh,
And to be honest, if you can take a guy from Ekasi
wow.
and give them something like that, anyone can do that. Why do you go to university for 4 years to do that? Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Because
Mm.
anyone can do that. Anyone with a brain can
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 do
can
that.
teach. Let's be honest. I give you a curriculum. I say, read this
Mm-hmm.
and go teach it to those people. And then you want to call yourself a great teacher. Ah, come on, guys.
So from where I'm standing, and you're just narrating the story to me, I'm like in my head, I'm like, that teacher's old, that teacher is white, that teacher is not comfortable enough in the subject to engage the children with what is happening. That's why the teacher say
Mm,
limit the questions.
mm, mm, mm.
Maybe I'm wrong. Um,
And so I once did a lesson for them
yeah,
where I said, no, engage me. I said to the kids, engage me.
yeah.
And the lesson was driven by the kids. They were engaging. I was giving them answers. I was questioning them. They were questioning me. I was questioning them, their thinking process and how they processing things. And they said, hey, that is a very unstructured lesson.
It had no direction. Like it was just all over the place. Where were you planning to take the children, Mr. Ndaba? Hmm? Where?
Yeah, no, no, no. Unprepared. Unprepared.
It was like a
This man is
conversation
never
in the
prepared for
township.
his lessons.
It was like a conversation in
Eh?
the township where he lives.
Mm, mm. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, yeah.
So when we reimagine, when we look at education in our certain ancestors' view, so what teaching strategies are we rooting for? Questioning. That's one of them.
Questioning, thinking.
Yeah.
I think questioning, thinking, using your brain. Like, use your brain. Like, education is saying kids come into our classroom with empty brains and we must fill them up.
Yeah.
What we forget is that they were not just born.
Definitely.
People are not just born. They have a purpose.
Yeah.
They are here to serve a purpose on this earth.
Yeah.
So people don't come empty. Children, like the question your child asked you this morning, and this is why most successful people say, think like a child,
Yeah.
because the older you get is the more dumber you get. But if you think like a child, it is why must I be in class at 8? Because I still want to sleep. My body is tired.
Yeah.
Why do those questions? No, you don't. How dare you? If you are another parent, you could have said, how you are lazy. Yeah. You don't like school.
And you're gonna end up nowhere being nothing.
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah,
haven't
you're
gone to
gonna be a
school.
nothing. But that is a very intelligent question. Why do I need to be there at 8? Because my body is not ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I won't be there physically, mentally. I won't be there. I'll just be there because I have to. But like, I'm not present in the moment because you are literally forcing me to be there. You know what I mean? So why do I need to be where you think I should be?
Yeah. Yeah. Questioning. I think if you look at questioning, brother, questioning is massive. It should be in the center of everything that we're doing. We shouldn't
Mm,
be taking anything as it is.
mm,
And
mm,
and the way we're going now in our schools, we don't allow our children to question.
mm,
And as we go as black parents, we don't want our children to question themselves. Why do we do
mm,
that?
mm,
Why am I doing it? Like, no, do it
mm,
because you have to do it because it's good for you.
mm.
Yeah, that's fine. But what is good? We come back. What is good?
You know,
Mhm.
so that's why I said, it's a conversation where we are saying we are talking about a school, a dream from our ancestors, because
Mm.
currently what we are sitting at, a lot of people would look at us and go, these are two crazy people. But like, if you really, really dig deep into what we are saying, what we are
Yeah.
saying is that in a way, sending your child to mainstream schooling as a parent, what as a parent you think about, what do I want my children to learn?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or do we just send them to school because that's what society tells us?
Mm. Mm. And man,
As parents,
mm.
yeah,
Go ahead. Go
as
ahead.
parents,
Mm.
is our love for our children conditional or unconditional? So I
Mm.
will love you if you do well at school. I
Mm.
will love you if I'm invited for honors evening. I'll love you if
Mm.
I am, and that's a child we become very proud of because that's a child that is successful.
Mm. This is
But
why we engage our children with useless questions like, "Oh, my child, when you grow up, what do you want to be?" We channeling
mm,
them into focusing in one thing and shut everything down.
mm, mm,
We're
mm,
creating small world for them, or encourage them to create that small world for themselves.
mm, mm. If they say to you, probably if we were in a pub and your son said to you, Dad, I don't want to be anything, you'd be like, hey, I'm deeply concerned about my son. Hey, no, not just quote him, I don't understand him.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
there was this it's on Negro spirituals. It's a video, a short little video on YouTube where this guy says old people in the South have more common sense. And he goes on to say that um you people who are educated couldn't climb the mountain even if it was flat.
Yeah, man. That's deep. Even if it was down, going down, they couldn't even climb it. Like, just roll down.
And if you are told that a mountain is supposed to be this, and you go in there because you are told that now a mountain is this,
Yeah,
but like if you found it to be flat, you can't climb it because now it doesn't have the criteria that you.
yeah. That's
So our dream would seem crazy to people because it'd be like,
what?
or how would I know if my child is wait? But like,
Mm,
so
mm,
what you are saying is that like no assessments. So I can't grade my child as clever, smart, or dumb. So how will I love my child better if I can't put them in a box?
yeah. Mm,
That's why we have top set in England Academy. We have top set, bottom
mm,
set.
mm, yeah.
Because I
That's why.
this
That's
one.
why. That's why in England Academy, Sanele, we have people when you start saying now we should focus on creativity, teaching creativity, teaching curiosity. Like getting these guys curious so like they can learn on themselves. Then your head of department will then ask you a question: how do we measure creativity?
Mm.
I'm like, what?
Because we
What?
need a
Why?
box.
Why do we measure it? Oh, so we can put a number on it to say they've blanked.
Mm, mm,
Can you even
mm,
teach creativity if you want to measure it? Can you teach it? Can't teach it. Can you teach
mm,
children to be curious? You can't teach
mm,
them. You have to just create a space. It might happen, it might not happen, but you created the space.
mm, mm. So what do you do then? They love music. You bring in hip hop
Yeah.
in a normal classroom. So kids right now at 8 a.m. they have to be up at 8 a.m. right?
Mm.
But what gets them to class? Music. So what if you say, okay, we're gonna learn slavery and we're going to use Kendrick Lamar, for example,
Yeah.
and you understand where they are at, but like we have a lot of teachers that don't even understand. So you understand the curriculum, but you don't understand the children that you are teaching. So it's like saying, I am selling Coca-Cola. I understand Coca-Cola very well,
Yeah.
but I don't understand my consumer. How will your consumer buy Coca-Cola if you don't understand your consumer? So you're giving your consumer Coca-Cola and they're like, I don't want Coca-Cola. I actually want water.
Yeah.
Or I
And
want,
and when that
or I
happens,
want.
Sanel, when that happens, you, the Coca-Cola creator, you'll be coming in and you're saying to them, to other teachers, you see,
Mm,
children these days don't want to learn anything. I'll be
mm,
sitting in front of them, teaching, and I give them a test. Zeros. They don't want to learn. I go, I do
lazy.
my research, and I make sure that we know I'm prepared for every lesson. But
Mm,
children don't want to
mm,
learn. They are
mm.
lazy. You know, I
Yeah.
blame I blame social media and the internet. You say during our times there, back there, ah, I tell you, like it was. I'm looking at you. I'm like, you're selling something that the customers don't want.
They don't want.
Then you want to force them. No, it's their money. They're not gonna buy it. They're not.
They not.
So
They not.
unless
So
you do something about that,
so the problem is not with the children that we are teaching, it's with the teachers who are teaching. So
yeah.
when you say to me, no, you don't need so you know what England Academy does?
Mm.
England Academy will start preparing the kids for that final matric exam
Hey,
in grade 10.
that's painful.
The government curriculum cap says you need to do all the topics.
That's
England
painful.
Academy says middle finger to the government. We will just from grade 10, we will teach the matric curriculum. We will teach them how to answer the questions, how
Mm.
to think, when to question, how not to question. We'll give them a criteria.
Yeah.
And when they tick all the boxes, they get 90%. Then I say, yeah, England Academy produces good education. But
100%.
if
Year
your
in,
child is
year out,
doing one
100%.
thing, if your child is being prepared for one thing for 3 years and they don't get 90%, then my God, your child is seriously stupid.
With that, Sanel, with that, I remember like vividly when we went to varsity, went to very not so good school, like underprivileged school. You made it, however, and you went to varsity, and then varsity, like you still young guys, your brains are still the mates, and all that you speak about your matric results, and when you listen, people are running distinctions. Hey, this guy's worked hard, and you even embarrassed to say yours because you be like D D D D D D D. It's just by God's grace that you got to that level. God grace
It's
that you
like,
made it to university. But Sanele, what's very interesting is Sanele, halfway your first year, 60-70% of those guys they out. They academically excluded. I'm like, but those guys not intelligent than me. What
they're
happened?
not. They're not. Everything. The schools train them for that matric exam. So you're not intelligent. You are just trained to pass it well. Because for them, schooling is a business.
Sure.
So the minute they can say you get 100% distinctions, you get so many A's, parents with money will say, oh, I want to send my child there. Because my child at that school will be trained very well for the exam. Is you like today, schools like England Academy have workshops on resilience. And I said, why can't you take a guy from the township, bring him here? We can run that workshop.
Yeah. Yeah.
People in the township don't have to learn resilience.
Yeah,
They
Charlie.
don't.
Yeah.
They just have to be. Now, you are taught to be resilient. Y- How can you get taught to be resilient?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like what
Yeah.
you are saying. So the guy at England Academy has 5 tutors. He's got a mother who's a professional who can help him. He's got good teachers who train him for the exam. A guy in the township does the whole curriculum from grade 10 to matric. He has to know every topic. He has to know every topic very well. And then he gets a 60% and you get a 90%. Who's more intelligent there?
Yeah. Hmm.
Who's more resilient? The one who goes to a school where they say, oh, you are struggling, let's give you support.
Yeah.
Or the one who says, I'm struggling, where do I find support? So that's why this one needs a
Yeah.
workshop on resilience.
Mm.
They need a workshop on resilience because they are weak.
As they say, like with money, you do everything. You get everything. Like everything is in your fingertips. But again, if you look at it from the other side, with money, there's no much to learn. There's no much to like really want to go for it. There's no drive to say, you know what, I need this, I need to go for it. Because it's just, um, daddy, I need that, boom, you get it. I need that, boom, you get it. But from a township, I just simple thing like I need to go to the mall to send my application form to vets or to print it. Even your own mom and your own timer will never say, if I give you this $20, what are you gonna eat at night? Go wash cars. Go do something. Isn't that
If you look
resilience?
at it,
Isn't
look at
that
vets. One, who went to vets here?
yeah?
Vets for what?
Like what is
And
vets?
you're like, but I want to go. You're like, go find a job.
Yeah,
Other kids in this township are working. They were the petrol attendants, the help at home. When you are busy with your vets, when you what is that?
Yeah.
So you're right. Now you're like, okay, sharp. No one believes in the dream that I have, but I need to make it happen.
Sure. Now it's
I
up
need
to
to make it
you.
happen. So then no one needs to teach you resilience. You naturally become resilient. So today for me, I was shocked that people sat for 5 hours on a resilient workshop, how to become resilient. I was like, my God, how much are you paying the person?
To teach you guys resilience. To teach you guys
Because
to
like,
workshop you about such things like grit. Ah, we need to have grit, children. Grit.
mm, mm, mm.
Why would you want to
It's
teach
so
about grit? Resilience. Why would you want to teach that? Because some people are born in that space where resilience is automatically activated.
mm, mm, mm. They don't have a choice but to learn it.
Yeah.
If you have to learn to be resilient, I don't want my children to go to a workshop to learn resilience. Mm-mm. For me, I'm going to educate them to be resilient. And you might think that, yo, this guy is such a difficult father. This guy is such. That's why rich parents don't give a lot of money to their children
Yeah.
because they truly love them.
Yeah.
Second, third, fourth generation, it's flat. But first generation, it's about I had to be resilient. I want to teach you that skill because if I just give you money
Yeah.
and I die, you lose all of it because you don't understand. You don't understand what it's like not to have nothing
Yeah.
and have to work and build and build and build and build and build. So for me, if I have stupid children, I'll donate all my wealth to a charity.
Yeah.
Rather put my money to children who are struggling, who need a bit of money, than to put it to stupid, privileged little brats who are going to go out and party and do drugs and do what all of these rich children do,
Yeah.
mindlessness, because actually be doing, which is you learn to empower.
Yeah.
That's why we call it black tax. We call
Yeah.
it black tax. But is it really black tax? Or is it saying I'm empowered? The
Yeah.
Ubuntu thing to do is to go back and empower my community. So I've knowledge that some people in my community don't have. Now I need to go back and share that knowledge. I have wealth that people in my community don't have. So I need to take that wealth back into my community. You know what I mean? I need to share that wealth with my community. That is Ubuntu.
Yeah.
But the stupid capitalist system says you gather all the wealth, you have it, you are rich, and you watch people go hungry. You watch people who you can see that this person is gonna go to bed with an empty stomach, but you're like, I like text, no. And then you go to Cubana and you buy drinks for 3,000 rand.
Yeah. I've always had this question. I'm glad that you're raising black tax. I'm glad that you're raising it now. I'm wondering, in the other race, is it the same thing? Like if you look at your Somalians now in South Africa,
Mm,
if you look at them, you would think they one big family. Like
mm,
they all Bondaba.
mm, mm,
But they not.
mm,
And secondly, they from different places. One is from the south, one is from the north. But because both of them are from Somalia, they're like, hey, brother, this is how we make it. I'm running a tuck
mm,
shop. And what we're going to do is to raise money for you to open your tuck shop. And Indian people are doing it too. The Jewish people are doing it too. Like a whole lot of people are doing it. That my
And
question
when you have
for
your own
that, do they call it black tax or do they call it empowerment? Do they have a term for that support of each other? What do they call it?
they just call it empowerment. It's like you look at, I'm sorry, I know you're gonna post this, but you look at our stupid president, Cyril Ramaphosa. That man is greedy. He's created wealth and he's continuously feeding into that system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He, Cyril, I had this conversation the other day, and I said, why isn't Patrice Motsepe? Why does Oprah Winfrey need to come all the way from America to build a school in South Africa? While
Remember
we
that
have our
conversation.
Patrice Motsepe, while we have
Remember that
our Cyril
conversation.
Ramaphosa, why is there? Huh?
I remember that conversation. We had it last time.
Yeah. So why can't those people build schools? And some people say, you can't tell me what I want to do with my money. When I'm rich, I can do whatever I want with my money. And I'm saying that is the problem in Africa, because we don't have people who are willing to sacrifice and say, okay, sharp, I've made so much money. Now let's build schools where the dream that you and I are having right now can be possible. But right now we can't, because the minute you say, okay, let's move beyond Western systems,
Yeah.
let's teach our children real education, they'll be like, so will my child become a doctor or a nurse from your school? What will they become? And you're like, okay, we still don't understand education.
Mm.
So up until Africans make money so that they can build their communities, so that they can give back, will always remain a foolish people.
Mm.
I need to be
But
up
Sanele,
straight
just to
because
jump in there, brother. I'm thinking if 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 people make it to the next level and all they do is giving back, it's donating. Personally, from where I'm standing, it means nothing. But they have to do it differently. And I think around the world we are only raised that we're doing it with donations. We have to empower each other. To say, Sanel, I've got my millions, and I see you that you're working on. Get this start, or let's start this empire for Sanel. Then later on, do the same for somebody. But if I'm going to come inside and say, you know what, I made my millions, I'm going to donate socks and clothes and such tiny things, meaningless things, then I'm not empowering you. I'm,
I'm giving
I'm,
you
I'm using the very same Western system, same beliefs on you to say, you know what, we don't have to work together. We don't have to do that. All we need to do is just give you the hand me down. But we need to empower each other. We need to collaborate, which we don't get to see amongst black people, a lot of black people. And it's very vivid with our celebrities. Like we can't even make a song, simple song together that speaks about Africa, connecting Africa. We can't have a collaboration with Ghanaian artists and from the south and come together and say, you know what, this is the piece for Africa. We need to have somebody from US and say, but in essence, what I'm saying is we don't empower each other. Instead,
But
we
the
hand
reason
people down.
for that, the reason for that is that we have been told and been taught that we are inferior.
Yeah,
So we grow up wanting to be superior.
yeah,
And what does superiority look like?
sure.
Hmm? It looks like a very nice car. It looks like fancy shoes. That's what superiority looks like.
Yeah.
So we, because we come from a place of inferiority, we are striving for superiority. But when we think about it, superiority is wasted, because our people used to walk barefoot. They didn't need fancy sneakers. Um, our people wore simple things from nature. They didn't need to go kill things so that they could have clothes. You know, nature made that available. But now you have someone who comes in and says, we won't accept you into a certain social group unless
Yeah.
you are wearing that, unless you are driving that, unless, and then we call that ambition. And the very same Christianity that was brought to us says the love of money is the root of all evil. We might see that as now they call them Illuminatis and whatnot and conspiracy theories, but it goes down to the core of saying the love of money will make you not love your children just because they are not achieving the way you'd like them to. The love of money and material things will not make you love your wife because society has told you that a woman who you are married to must be like this. Evil comes in when you start saying, God has blessed you with a car. You have a car. Then you look at another man's car and you say, I want that. And when you think of the Ten Commandments, we reject Christianity, but it has a lot of truth to it as well. It says the love of money is the root of all evil because now God blesses you with a car. Now you see a Mercedes Benz. You're like, but God doesn't love me. Why can't I drive a Mercedes Benz? But there's someone who is walking. They don't have a car. You have a car. You are
Yeah.
blessed. You know what I mean? So now you want a Mercedes Benz. So at work, you are going to backstab people. You are going to, so that you earn just enough so you can buy a Mercedes Benz. And when you have a Mercedes Benz, now you want an Austin Martin. It doesn't end. The greed doesn't
Absolutely.
end. There's always something. There's always think about the rat race. All you are doing is you are just simply going around in a circle, just like, oh, now, so I used to walk, now I want a car. God blesses me with a car. Now I want a better car. I work hard, now I get a better car. Okay, now I don't want that car anymore. Now I want an even better car. Isn't that just the rat race?
It is 100%. But from that, what I'm picking up is a lot of us black people, we obsessed about being acknowledged by the systems that have nothing to do with us. Like for instance, we got a lot of people who made it, who are obsessed about being the richest in Africa, and who's saying they richest? Who tells them that they richest? Forbes. Who's Forbes? Then it start from what you are saying to the at the bottom, when people like, I need another car, I need to increase my salary move, I need to move, I need, and we get to the point where now you are acknowledged that you're the richest and you're over the moon. It's just Forbes said you're the richest, or Forbes said, look out for these guys in 10 years, they're going to be amazing. Why can't we suddenly break away from the systems we did not create? Why is it difficult for us to do that?
Because my brother, when you do that, they'll say you're crazy. They'll
I think
say you need to be taken to a mental institution.
I think that's what
I
we're doing
mean,
right now. Hey, there are people who listen to this and watch this and say, "These two people are crazy." There's nothing like education
mm,
for ancestors. There was no education for those
mm,
people.
they'll call you crazy.
Yeah,
And they'll say, no, take him to start funding.
get him checked.
I see these two. Yeah,
Get him checked. There's something not right with this one. These two.
yeah. And then earlier when we started, he spoke about Piaget, and then they'll say, yeah, no, well, let's grade him. Bipolar, unanani. They've got all of this shitty diseases that they come up with these days. It's like, yeah, he's got a brain problem, this one. He's got depression. He's got anxiety. He's got that. And then now you are like, okay, so I'm a mental patient. I'm not normal. I'm abnormal. So what is normality? What is it to be normal in the sense? Like, because it's like the minute you start thinking out the box, the minute you start saying, but why not? I We think this one has bipolar. We think this one has anxiety. We think this one has depression. We think this one has. Now we put you in a box again because we can't stand people who think differently. The minute you think differently, it's like you're abnormal. So if you're abnormal, let's find psychologists to think about your thinking and let's get them to put you in a box. Then once we have you in a box, now we can say, okay, let's put him in a prison. What's that prison? A mental institution. Because he's just crazy. He's abnormal.
And I'm thinking when they do that again, it's not just putting in prison. But if you look at what prison does to a human being, when it does a lot of things in the head, like like if you look at us people, we thrive having these conversations, having these interactions with the people that we value, the people that we know. But once we are excluded, taken away from that space, from your space, then man, you lost. You're going to go crazy. and and just going back to the England Academy, those are kind of system that we practice when the child is not behaving, when the child is not questioning. We then say this child is disrupting the class. Then we take them out of the class. We put them in the corner. So we practice prison from early stage, and you're doing that to a grade one child, Sanel.
Mm,
So this is the system that was well thought of
mm.
from Sha.
So what is ADHD? It's a child who's bored in class. They've understood what they've understood what you're saying. Now they're bored. They want to do
Yeah,
something else. So they start critiquing. Now Sanele
yeah.
school.
It doesn't
Let's call
listen.
in his
It
parents.
disrupts the class.
Yeah, let's call in his
Yeah,
parents. Let's get his parents to put him in line. And your parents tell you, if you continue this way, you'll amount to nothing. Prison.
yeah. Or if not, if your parents tried several times, then it doesn't happen. Then they will take your child. They'll do exactly the same thing that they do to the person in Stratfontein.
Mm,
They'll start feeding your child medicine to just
mm,
cool him down.
mm, mm.
And it's gone now with your child when your child is in that medication.
And then they ban drugs. Certain drugs you can't do. when you do those drugs, you are a drug addict. But when my child has ADHD, tell me that my child is going to be on antidepressants for the rest of their lives. What is an
Yeah.
antidepressant? It's like, I'm feeling sad right now. I don't know why. I probably need to interrogate why. You tell me that it's because I'm depressed, then you give me a tablet and you tell me that I need to take that tablet for the rest of my life.
Hey.
What is a drug addict? A drug addict is someone who says, I can't cope right now with life, so you go to a drug dealer. So why do you arrest the drug dealer and not the psychologist? Because they literally doing the same thing. Because what is an
they
antidepressant? If you were to
they
find
work
the
together.
chemicals that are in an antidepressant, they probably are the same particles that are in you take an antidepressant. Oh, now I can cope with life again. Is that not the same as a drug addict? If we are honest.
It is the same. If you look at history of all these guys who are drug addicts now as adults, those are people that were introduced into drugs legally when they were young. And then now when they 20, 30, 40 and they addicts, they're like, why are these people in drugs? Why are these black boys in drugs? In fact, like to be specific, why are these black boys on drugs? Because you introduced black boys into drugs when they were 7, when they were 8. So these guys, they've been doing drugs for almost 2, 3 decades.
Mm.
So
And now just because you're buying
they just got used to what they have, as you say, antidepressant, to cope with life, and they continue doing that. And they say, "Hey, these black boys, these black guys, blacks are into drugs." No, your system introduced them to drugs, and now the drugs
and
that
the
they're
only
doing
problem
now, the drugs now that they're doing as adults, you then don't have control of profits because it's just in the background. That's why you arrest them, and if you don't arrest them, you take them to institutions to clean them up so you can make money from them.
mm.
So this
And
shit is
then you
making
give
money.
them another drug.
Yeah,
You give them another
yeah,
drug to take them off that drug.
yeah,
And then this one, because you're buying it from the pharmacy, that
yeah,
one is more acceptable.
yeah.
What makes that? It's still a drug.
It
Why?
is. It is a drug. It's a full-on drug. And now the question is, why, when they recommend whatever medication for your child, why don't they go with HAPs? Why can't they say, no what,
Mm,
your child should
mm,
be going with Mhlonyan and or something to cool their
mm,
nerves down?
mm, mm, mm,
They don't do that
mm,
because they can't make money out of it. That's why same thing happened just now, COVID, as you mentioned. They say no, we can't use herbs. You need to get
mm,
drugs with measurements and everything.
mm. Because they can't make a profit from it.
Yeah, and what's sad about that is when someone comes to your house and they're not well, and you feed
Africa was
them.
not as effective as the rest of the world,
Yeah, yeah,
even though we are the poorest.
yeah.
But they chose to reject it because, like you're saying, then what do? They bring in their scientists. The very same scientists take the particles from Mhlonyan and they manufacture them in a lab. And they say, hey, we have a vaccine. What do African countries do? We go borrow money from America,
Yeah,
and Cyril Ramaphosa says, hey, we have a vaccine.
we're getting what,
What kind
million,
of
30
vaccine?
million.
Yeah?
It's like, no, we're gonna get 30 million vaccines, then we're going to vaccinate half of the population. I'm like, okay. They will go.
What
Those
do you think?
that are not aware, they will go. I'll be sitting at the back,
Mm,
watching them.
mm, mm.
I'll be going to
And then you know what they
Madagascar.
start saying. Mm. And then you know what they were saying at England Academy today.
Mm.
Some people are so crazy. They're just refusing to take the vaccine. Like,
Hey,
how dumb can you be? How dumb can you, like, they just follow all of these conspiracy theories. And I've been convincing my family, man. These are the educated people, man. These are our educated people. I've
yeah.
been convincing my family members to take the vaccine and leave whatever they're doing. But, they just refuse. They're such difficult, stupid people.
Mm. Hmm.
And they're looking at you and they're like, if education does this,
I don't want to
then
be educated. I don't want to.
we
Kishab.
could.
Kishab. I think
we could. We could.
this is one of the reasons why I dropped out of my masters. I was doing a research on communication in the texting, and I wanted to do it my own way. Then I was told the way you're collecting data, it's unethical. Therefore, you need to be looking at the ways. Then I tried this, then I tried this, all of it unethical. I'm like, guys, a whole lot of people that I know on Facebook, they're using a texting. So I'll collect data on Facebook, then link that data with the taxi drivers. They're like, no, you can't do that. That's unethical. If we need to go back and talk to them, how are we going to do that? Now you should give them papers. You should sit them down in a place where there's air condition and like they feel free to speak. Feel to speak what? Because you're speaking about your experience in the taxi. Should you be free? And I told them no, I'm gonna jump into the taxi from Suez to Joburg, then come back and then talk to people in the taxi. They're like, no, you cannot do that. I'm like, then
Because
the moment I decided to drop out, that's when I was told no, you should do that. Get the people, put them in your house, give them water, and then start talking. I'm like, I will do it my way, and I'll publish it my way. Go ahead with your institutions. I cannot be told what to do with what I know.
but it's also the same thing with academia, isn't it? They say
Yeah,
that this is like that for you. It's going around talking to people that research, it's learning. But they say no, you need to do it this way because if you do it that way, then we won't publish it through our institution.
yeah,
So again, it's still part of institutionalism. It's like,
it is.
do you really have a PhD, or are you just simply a conformist? So okay, so now had you been another person, you'd have been like, okay, so how do I do it so that I get it published? And they say, go there, go there, go there, do that, do that. At the end of the day, you get the same data, and then they say, yeah, now we can make you a master because you've just simply done it their way. But
Yeah, you just follow the system. But again, if I did it their way, I was not gonna get the results that I was looking at. And again, if I did it their way, I was gonna come in with superior. I was gonna be a superior person. Say, you know what? I'm this person. I'm studying for my master's degree. I like to interview guys. You idiots. I like to interview you, but you cannot do it here in the taxi. Go to my house. My house is safe. It's secure. Like it has a lot of things in there to say do it my
that is
way.
why that is why England Academy. Remember the last time when we spoke about this? That is why England Academy will hire those kind of people with masters because, and then they say, okay, do transformation in our
Yeah.
school. And they say,
Hey.
okay, what is transformation? Transformation is just simply to make black people white. Get it?
Mm.
That's transformation. So you
Mm.
come in, oh yeah, I've got a master's from UCT on transformation and transformational development. So now I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna try to make sure that by the time that every black person who comes into this institution, by the time they leave, they are white. Because you've been told that that's the criteria, that for you to be accepted, you need to meet a certain criteria. And once you don't, mental illness, crazy, hey, what. So that's a reality, my brother.
Yeah.
That's a reality. So you can't change that system. You need to just simply uproot it and dismantle it completely.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. When you say this, I remember when a famous Jay Z was asked, Jay Z, you grew up in this impoverished space and a privilege, and there are people there. Why don't you then go back and combat it and change it? And he then said, "There's no way you can change what you didn't create." So if I want to do something different about that, I should be going to another place and building something from scratch. Because what you didn't create, you cannot make change on it. It's been maintained for so many years. That's why there was so much informal settlement in the US and it brought up nobody.
And then people who think differently like that, like Cabo Jay-Z, then what do we call them? Devil worshippers,
Illuminatis.
Illuminatis, and
Yeah.
whatnot. But all they are saying is that, like, the system can't continue the way it is. We need to
Hmm.
completely uproot it. We need to do something completely different.
Yeah. Completely different.
You can't see school. So you can't transform school with the same lens. So
Yeah.
you're just creating another England Academy, and all you are calling it is South African Academy. Then you say, now we have an African institution.
And then with that being said, you then go ahead and then you want to be accredited by England Academy. You want to use
Mm.
England academic curriculum. You follow almost everything that they follow. Then how different are you? What change did you make?
Same. It's like, a lot of people, and this is funny, like a lot of very academically smart people, they like to quote Franz Fanon, Black Skin, White Mask. Like, hey, have you read Franz Fanon? I'm such a liberal. I'm such a black educated liberal. I know Franz Fanon. And you look at them and you're like, you're exactly what Franz Fanon was talking about. You're a white man,
Ah, this life, bro. Exactly that. We're not different.
and you just you like you realize it, or should I? And then you just leave them because you're like, as in, let's just leave this. But and it's interesting because these, I think in South Africa we call them clever blacks.
Mm, mm,
They like quoting Franz Fanon so much. Like they think that, like, when they come into what we call black woke spaces, that when they
mm,
talk about Franz Fanon, you'll be like, oh, but what they don't understand is that black intellectuals are not academically inclined. We don't use curriculum. So we read Franz Fanon to understand him and not to pass, and not to, we read him to understand what was Franz Fanon saying. So because now they have a doctorate in like whatever studies and whatnot, now they can come and they say, okay, we want to teach you about Franz Fanon. And we say, no, we know Franz Fanon. You exactly what Franz Fanon spoke about.